The sun is high, we're feeling good. In Miami where the spirit's understood. With Bobby Finstock leading the crew. We're gonna show you what these Dolphins do. Fans up high, the crowd's roaring loud. In the city with the blue and aqua proud. Van Stanza's here with the play-by-play. We're getting ready, it's game day. Are you ready for some football? Miami Dolphins standing tall. Are you ready for some football? Showtime at the Hard Rock, y'all. From the tailgate to the field of green with the best fans you ever seen. Bobby's got the scoop, hot off the press. In Miami, we roar to impress. Play your stats and pregame chat.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the FTSN Dolphins pregame show, where the Miami Dolphins are going to be facing the Baltimore Ravens. I'm your host, Vincenza. Not with us tonight because it's a little early for him. Bobby Finstock, he'll be with us on the pregame show. We're doing a switcheroo because I wasn't there on Sunday for pregame, so not a big deal. With me tonight are typical one of my co-hosts who's already going to Cancun, Sammy Chico. Join us because it's usually Thursday night from Fins TV Plus. Fast Eddie, burn it down. I think he just wants to burn everything down. And Alex Chico will be joining us later on in the show. And today we have a special guest because we can't be the only ones on the network to rip on our team, the Dolphins. So we brought in a token Ravens fan who's been talking to me in the background and can't wait to talk about his team and get out here on the network. It's his debut. I did this a couple years ago. Mark Galler, welcome to the show, Mark. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be here. I'm doing great. I mean, wasn't doing great a few weeks ago. It's been a crazy season up and down. A lot of heartbreak, a lot of good times. Not a lot of good times, but Lamar didn't play last week. We got the win, and we're coming in for a winning streak, and we're not losing again this season. So that's how I'm feeling.
That's good. So, Sammy, how you doing today?
Feeling after last Sunday's game, I feel a lot better. We'll see what happens after today, but flying high at this moment. It's good to be on the winning side for once this season. You feel comfortable. The Dolphins basically had a great win on Sunday, so there's nothing to feel bad about today.
Eddie, how you doing?
Pretty good. I'm glad they got a win finally. They needed that. We needed it. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So before we go around the board and talk about where we're at, let's just remember that the show is brought to you by Kingswear. Don't forget to check out Kingswear at 2655 University Drive in Davie, Florida. Anything Panthers, anything Dolphins, anything Inter Miami. I will not say the Marlins because I can't stand the Marlins. Anything, obviously, Miami Hurricanes, who finally picked up a decent win last week and made up for losing to Louisville. Anything you want to check out, you can see them online at kingswear.com. So before we talk about the show, I'm just going to take a moment. Mark, give us some feedback on how you became a Ravens fan, why you chose the Ravens, how you got involved in enjoying football, a little bit about you, so that people on the network can learn more about you.
Yeah, so basically, I've been a football fan for most of my life. Kind of bouncing around teams. When I'm a little kid growing up, I would pick whoever's in the Super Bowl. I would watch the Super Bowl every year, pick a different team. But the first ever Madden video game I got was when I was 10 years old, Madden 2005, and Ray Lewis was on the cover. And going back to then, one of my sleepaway camp counselors was a Ravens fan. So I said, hey, I got this Madden game. They're not tough defense. Let's do it. And I've been a Ravens fan ever since. I'm lucky enough also to have a cousin in Baltimore, my grandma's cousin. So I've been able to stay with him and go see a few games. Actually, this scarf behind me over there, that was from the last time I went to a game. 2023, Week 17, Ravens Dolphins. If you remember that game, it was like 56-19 or something like that.
Why would you remind us of that game? One of Tua's actual games where we basically said he shouldn't be a starting quarterback, maybe.
Yeah, so that was the last game I went to.
Sammy, were we fighting for the first in the division then? Were we fighting for first?
You were like 11-4 at some point or something like that at that point. Yeah.
Eddie, wasn't that a distant memory?
That's a long time ago.
Doesn't it feel like that happened a long time ago? 2 years ago? It feels like 20 years of heartache. So you were at that game. That must have been an enjoyable game for you.
The Ravens always basically play spoiler to the Dolphins. I remember when my daughter was about to be born, that baby shower day was the last basically playoff game that I remember having against the Ravens. And, it was in Miami, and the Ravens basically kicked the butt out of the Dolphins. So a lot of bad memories for the Dolphins. That I was there in 2013, 2015 when the Brian Tannehill was the quarterback, and the Ravens were the game was close. It went away. It was in the silence for that game. So a lot of memories that the Ravens fans travel well also. So you're gonna see a lot of fans in Miami today for that home game for Lamar tonight against the Dolphins in Hard Rock Stadium.
And speaking of playing spoiler, we also have one good spoiler for you guys. Remember, we were the ones who spoiled you guys going 0-16. We were your 1 year win that year. I remember late in the season. I'm pretty sure if I remember that correctly.
No, that was the Bengals. It was Greg Camarillo.
No.
Which year?
It was
2000?
it was the Ravens.
Oh, it was the Ravens, eh?
Yeah.
It was the Ravens. You're right.
The
You're
one.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one-win season. Also, you helped us out there with that. That was the Cleo Lemon game. Was that the Cleo Lemon game, Eddie?
I believe
The
so.
Cleo Lemon
Was it
games,
Cleo Lemon, Greg Camarillo?
Yes.
Good catch. Oh, that was for some reason.
Of course, that a couple of years ago, that huge comeback by the Dolphins at Baltimore. That always,
Yeah, I remember that
You
one.
realize that every time people say Tua's the man. Oh, remember when he did that in Baltimore in week 2 of 2022? I go, we're going back 3 years. 3 years. So, anyway, so
he got a good, he had a couple.
So basically, is your favorite Raven of all time Ray Lewis?
It's got to be Ray Lewis. I mean, he's Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. It's kind of like hard to lump those two together, but
it's hard
Lamar,
to cheer for Ed Reed for us, but then we have to cheer for him if you're a U fan because basically one of the number one selling jerseys of Hurricanes history is Ed Reed. So like you have to be a fan of Ed Reed.
Yeah, you just watch his tape from Baltimore and going back to the Hurricanes. He was just no one like him. I honestly think he was like better than Ray Lewis was at his position. Like they're both probably the best safety and best middle linebacker of all time, but Ed Reed was just so different. Special guy, special player. But yeah, I'd say Ray Lewis is probably my favorite. Got to throw Joe Flacco in there, Lamar, and then if you want to throw in an underrated guy who I loved was Paul Kruger as a pass rusher. I don't know what it was about him. I loved him. He was a great guy, but yeah.
No, and you have a great. Well, basically, would you pick him up at the airport if John Harbaugh was fired, Sammy? Did you say you'd pick him up at the airport?
I would. If I know, I will ask be the fanatic, to manage to find a way to
5 stars. 5 stars.
Yeah,
Mark,
5-star service to pick him up and drive him straight out to Harrow Stadium.
Yeah, I think Eddie, you do the same thing. I think we'd all be picking him up at the airport.
Yes,
Yep,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Isn't it crazy though? Like between Tomlin and Harbaugh, maybe they're going to be done in their divisions. I go, like these fans don't want them anymore. I go, we'll pick them up. We'll take either one. We'll take either one.
What's the name of the Bengals coach? Right now, it's giving my mind. I will pick him up too. Right now, I don't care.
Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor. He's a good he would be a great offensive coordinator. I think he's going to make a great offensive coordinator one day.
There are a lot of offensive coordinators in this league, and not a lot of great head coaches. So I thought we'd take a minute just because I know you guys had a show. Sam, you talked a little bit about it on Tuesday, and I talked about it a little Sunday night. But I want to I'll start with Eddie, and then I can move over to Mark. So Eddie, you talked briefly on the intro about the Dolphins basically doing a 180, which is kind of weird, but actually it's typical of the Falcons. If you look at their wins and losses this year, who they're losing to and who they're beating is kind of really like the opposite. They beat Buffalo, but they can't beat Carolina, and they can't beat the Dolphins. So what were your thoughts on the victory of the Dolphins on Sunday? And then we'll move on to see what happened between the Bears and the Ravens. But take a minute to reflect on the game on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a feeling before the game that they were going to win it. I sent that to Sammy at like 11:30 in the morning. Yes. I don't know why.
11:35. I actually remember.
Oh yeah,
it was 11:35. Yes.
And well, I knew I'm not putting a lot of stock in the win. I mean, I'm happy they won, but the way that Carolina beat Atlanta is kind of the same way Miami beat Atlanta, and it was Kirk Cousins, and I mean, it's like beating the Bengals without Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I just wish we had Kiko Alonso for tonight's game, and Flacco was the quarterback on the other team.
Kiko always went hard.
Kiko Alonso. Yeah, he did. He was a real Ravens killer, honestly. Like I just found he was always around the quarterback. He was always hitting people. I think he injured a few of our guys a couple times.
Oh yeah, he knocked Flacco out. That was
him, eh?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
He was a Ravens killer. Even when he was on the Bills, he was a Ravens killer.
Yeah. He was, but he seemed to always get, I don't know, Bobby, Sammy, if you remember, like every time there was a penalty that was like a personal foul, it was Kiko Alonso.
You knew it was him.
Kiko.
Yeah.
Kiko Alonso would not survive in this NFL. He was made.
Yeah.
This NFL roughing the passer every time.
Who was that guy that he basically, took out of the game with that hit? He's famous for that hit. Right now, escaping my mind. But
Flacco.
It was Flacco.
Joe Flacco, right?
Flacco.
So I mean, Agent said that Flacco was never the same player after that. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I've heard that before. And Kiko also, there's some guys who play through the whistle. He played through the whistle, basically through the next play. That guy was crazy because that guy, it was just a different cat for the Dolphins for sure.
Yeah, he was perfect for the 70s and 80s of football. Like that's when it was good. But overall, how did you? Yeah, but Eddie, after that game, who do you put that win on most? You say you give credit to Tua? Do you give credit to McDaniel? Do you give credit to Weaver? Like, what was your expectation? I just said to myself, they basically did everything the fans, like you, myself, Sammy, have been saying to do all year.
I think you got to get credit to everybody on the coaching staff. They had him prepared well for once. He changed a lot of stuff up, so I know he was involved in meetings. McDaniel. Tua looked a lot better. He was getting the ball out on time. So I guess it would all start with the head coach, him getting it all together and putting in a good game plan.
Oh, my heart! I have heartburn, Sammy. I have heartburn. Even though I gave him credit on Sunday, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Mark, for you, a quarterback who couldn't do much for us last year, who seems to only play well when he plays for the Ravens. For some reason,
for the Ravens, Pro Bowler,
Yeah.
He's a Pro Bowler for the Ravens. You sign him again to the practice squad. Cooper Rush can't do his job, and then Snoop Huntley comes in and faces the Bears on a 4-game winning streak and basically gives you guys a very critical win. So what was your thoughts on the game against the Bears on Sunday?
I mean, going into it, I was very doom and gloom. This whole season has been kind of doom and gloom for me. And the whole Lamar Jackson practice drama, he's a full practice participant. No, he was just practicing with the practice team, so he's limited. Is he playing? Is he not? Why not? It was making me feel back to that 2023 offseason where he was having the contract negotiations, the trade request. They weren't sure when he was going to. Every week, it's like, yeah, he's going to come back this week. He's going to come back this week. Never came back. I was starting to get those vibes. And then watching Tyler Huntley Snoop come in and just play the way he did and win, and maybe wonder why they weren't going with him from the start and why they were even bothering with Cooper Rush. But it was just a great win, great team win. The defense actually really stepped up, which was huge. Huntley did what he needed to do, get the ball in Zay Flowers' hands a lot. They ran the ball really well. It was a season-saving win. And honestly, every game from here on out is a season-depending game. Win or lose, that's going to be the season. The way I see it, we could lose 2 more games the rest of the way. But thank God he's back. He's finally back, and we got it.
What are your thoughts? Do you think that the Ravens will get fined or will face some form of ramifications for how they handled the Lamar Jackson situation in terms of being on and off the practice squad, because they did break a rule?
Yeah, so I think so. Apparently, the way the explanation was he did fully practice. He participated fully in practice and did every activity. However, it was with the practice squad. He didn't take any starter reps. So that's why it wasn't considered a full participant. So given that they didn't necessarily, it was just like a kind of word tweak thing where maybe they got the verbiage wrong. Who knows? I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt here and say they weren't trying to do anything too malicious or devious. I think they'll get a fine, maybe a draft pick loss, but I doubt it. I would say they're going to get fined for this because there was definitely some procedural errors there.
It's funny because I was about to I'm about to go through it, Duke. Yeah, so guys, we like to do it a little later in the show, but because it's because the game's on in an hour and 15, I'm just going to go over the inactives. I'll go over the Miami Dolphins inactives to get Sammy and Eddie's reactions, then I'll go over the Ravens. So Julian Hill, who's been injured, so that's why Hayden Rucci was brought up from the practice squad. Quinn Ewers, emergency quarterback. Ashton Davis, that's why Isaiah Johnson's been brought up, along with James Marshall's back. James Marshall Jr. was back. Juju Brents, we're not worried about. Colbert and Biggers. But this is the last one, which surprises me, Sammy and Eddie, and this is why I don't trust this coach to save his life. Why is Jalen Wright on the inactive list again. Like, what the heck? Jalen Wright again. Like, the guy was key to the actual running game last week. You balanced the attack with Gordon, Achane, and Wright. So what are your reactions to the inactives for the Dolphins tonight?
It popped out just like you. As soon as I said, there goes the commitment to the run. That, maybe I'm overstating it, but that's the first thing I thought for sure, because that last week the running back by committee kind of 3 running backs running the ball. They also they pretty well. So I would love for the Dolphins to try to keep committed to the run. Pound everybody every single time to see to basically to take Lamar Jackson out the field, because you need to control the tempo, you need to control the game. So I would love for the Dolphins to send a message of commitment to the run by having Jalen Wright active, but that's not the case. Eddie?
Well, could be a couple things. It's they needed help in that secondary, so they had to activate somebody and or make somebody available, because they are down. Every safety has an injury on the Dolphins right now. Or 2, he's being traded. Could be that.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because we like to support other networks, and the moment I announced it and they came out, I started going, and all the people who I share networks with, who I follow a little bit, and we go, I'm not going to give them credit on this network because they're not Georgia Finn faithful, and they're people me and Sammy are not big fans of.
Who could it be?
You and I were sitting at Starbucks ripping these networks a little bit. Right away, one of them says, 3-headed monster at running back was fun for one game against McDaniel. Doesn't like to stick with what works. Jalen Wright, a healthy scratch again. So, Mark, just from your perspective, just because you're a lay, unbiased Dolphins fan, to know that last game we had a 3-headed monster of running attack. Yeah, it was a balanced run. We had like almost 45 runs. When you take to you as a Ravens fan, that must give you a smile that what was working, they actually took away a piece that was actually working for the Dolphins in that game.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Jalen Wright's that doesn't really do much fantasy-wise, but he's a good football player. He could run the ball well, and he complements what Achane does very well. So not seeing him in there, especially with the Ravens' lack of their interior presence on their defense, is kind of okay, nice.
Yeah.
So, and I'm seeing the benefits we have with the 3-headed monster with Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, and Keaton Mitchell is finally getting play. So seeing all that, it feels like a bit of a mistake on the Dolphins' part. Maybe they needed help elsewhere, and it was a numbers game for him. But I'd love to see the Ravens be able to stop the run finally and not give up on defense there. So having that weapon out feels good.
Yeah. So I'll go over your inactives. Compared to what you had a couple weeks ago, this is probably a breath of fresh air for you. So Cooper Rush, emergency quarterback. Emory Jones, offensive lineman. Sanusi Kane, safety. Defensive lineman, Aeneas Peoples. Offensive tackle, Carson Vincent. Wide receiver, Devontae Walker. And the most noticeable name is quarterback Jair Alexander. So on this, did anything surprise you? Anything frustrate you? Anything concern you?
I mean, yeah, the frustrating thing obviously is Jair Alexander. I mean, he came in, I think he played the first 2 games and was not very good. They let him take some time off they said it was to rehabilitate and get back into game strength, game speed. And yet here we are after a bye, after everything, and he's still not playing. What are we doing here? It's just a little concerning and confusing as to why he's not playing. Luckily he's been a model citizen, kept his mouth quiet, hasn't really come out and complained to the media or anything. Like thinking back to last year with Deontay Johnson, it feels like a similar situation where you acquire a guy and just don't use him. So it's not so much a surprise to see him not out, but it's frustrating. And Devontae Walker being out also is disappointing to me. I mean, I know they just paid Tylan Wallace. He's their 4th receiver. But Walker is more of a big play threat. He's been better in blocking. He has a better pass receiving grade. And Wallace isn't even returning kicks anymore. It's Mitchell and Ali back there. And maybe he's doing some punts, but I think it's been Ali doing some punts too. So I don't get not having Walker out there instead of Wallace, but we're splitting hairs at the end of the day. Wallace has also made some big plays for us the last couple of years, so I'm not complaining. I'd love to see more from Peoples. Peoples is a guy who was like a 3rd or 4th round pick we drafted, and I like to see what he's got. He's like a little mini Matabike, which sadly I don't think we're ever going to see him again, but I'd like to see him get some more reps too. But other than that, let's roll. We don't have any Pro Bowlers out, no All Pros. We could have filled the whole Pro Bowl roster with our inactives a few weeks ago. So let's roll.
So yeah, it's interesting to hear people get upset about their own team, and it's not on the network. We're only just focusing on what's so awful about the Dolphins. So obviously, so let's look at today. Let's just talk a little bit about tonight's game, because one thing that's interesting for us, and maybe Eddie and Sammy, you can go first on this. It seems that the benchmark, whenever we're on this network or even on your shows that you've done on Fins TV, why can't we? For some reason, our team can't draft when we're picking 10th or 12th. But then somehow the Ravens continually pick these guys in the late 20s and 30s, and we want Lamar Jackson. No, we want Derrick Henry. No, we want Malachi Starks, or we want a certain player, like we want Roquan Smith. Where do they all end up? On the
because
Ravens, right?
it's not only because the fact that player that is a good player, but keeps dropping and dropping and dropping as the Ravens either move up or either falls into their hands. You can draft whenever you want, but you need to develop them. And the Ravens have always been good at developing players. They take a player and they make it fit the scheme, and they do whatever it takes for that player to be the best player capable. The Dolphins, not so much. The Dolphins have players, and as soon as they leave the Dolphins, they're pro players, they're great players. It's the complete opposite. So it's not only drafting the player, it's the ability you have as a franchise to make it work, to make it fit your scheme, and to develop it. The Dolphins have failed year after year after year with that case, while the Ravens excel at that kind of stuff. So that's the reason why the Dolphins are trying to have sustainability of a couple of years of winning, while the Ravens keep winning every single year.
Yeah. Eddie, what do you don't you find, like, even though I don't negating the record, the Ravens, I think that's a lot of has to do with injuries and then Lamar not being there. But like it always feels like the Dolphins, like similar to how we are with the Bills a little bit, and the Chiefs, the Ravens are up there also. Like in terms of like players we always want, the way the quarterback plays, the way the coach coaches. It's sort of like the Ravens are a team the Dolphins have always like gave us like a little bit of heartache. Are you fine?
Oh yeah, the Ravens front office and Philadelphia's front office are two of the best in the NFL at finding players, no matter where they're picking. We're one of the worst because I just say, even when we let players go, nobody's in a rush to sign them.
No.
Like people, I mean, we took Zach Sealer from the Ravens, and he's turned out to be one of our best players, and he was a cut. They were trying to sneak back onto the practice squad. They need to change a lot in the front office in Miami. You need to be built like Philadelphia or the Ravens or Kansas City, who can find people everywhere.
Yeah.
Miami could have the top 10 pick, and they would not get it right.
Yeah. Okay. That's why when people are saying like tank, I go tank for who? If he's the GM. But anyways, so far let's just look at it from the perspective of before we dig into the game. So you have a team that's 1-5, and we're all going to talk about this. We have a team that was 1-5 that's now 2-5, that people still think can win their division, and a team that's 2-6 that should have already had scorched earth last season, 2 seasons ago, last week, but they won. But it seems like things aren't looking like they're going to be changing, even though everyone knows it should, and everyone's laughing. So I want to get all your perspectives on, before we dig into the game, on where do you think, what is your head at right now on both franchises and what their perspectives are? What do you think the team is thinking, and what are you thinking about both teams heading into tonight's game? And if they lose or whether they win, whether something will change within that franchise. So, Mark, I'll let you go first since you're the first time.
Yes. So, I mean, I think the reason the Ravens believe is number 8. It's Lamar. He is, I know it's nitpicking. You could say it's Mahomes. You could say it's Josh Allen. I think Lamar is the best quarterback in the league. He's the most exciting player in football, and he is the single biggest threat offensively. And as long as he's there and as long as he's guiding the offense, the team has a chance to win every game. And I think if you really look at the schedule, like our first 4 weeks, we played 3 out of the last 4 teams that were in the championship game. It was week 1 against the Bills. We lost on a fumble late in the game. It was the Lions, again, another late Derrick Henry fumble. Then we had the Browns. We beat them. Really great defense, though, but we beat them. And then we faced the Chiefs. who are the Chiefs, who have our number, who Patrick Mahomes is Lamar's daddy, unfortunately. But I really believe that the Ravens, just looking at the schedule going forward, there's divisional games, which the division hasn't looked that great this year. The Steelers are whatever. The Bengals and the Browns are the Bengals and the Browns. And I mean, aside from games against the Patriots and the Packers, there aren't a ton of games left on the schedule that scare me. So we're 2-5 right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we finish 11-6 or 10-7. If we win our divisional games, we'll win the division and make the playoffs. And otherwise, we'll sneak in as a wild card and be the proverbial team that no one wants to play against. You know, the wild card team that sneaks in. And honestly, like I have faith. I'm nervous. It's been a tough season, but this feels like the kind of thing where they're finally having some serious adversity in the regular season. And this is the stuff that's going to get them through the playoffs if they get there. Every year, it's been a cruise control through the regular season. They smoke everyone in their path and then get to the playoffs and lay a goose egg. This could be the kind of adversity they need to get us there. Now, asking them to only lose 2 more games the rest of the way is a big ask, but I think it's doable, just given the schedule, given the team, and I have faith and I feel good about it.
Mark, you're already getting number one. Just want to break it out. Ben might should worry about his job security, because that Ben, probably Leanne basically told him, and she's getting a shout out to say Mark number one instead of Evan number one, but he'll have a problem with me tomorrow. And yeah, on your preview show, it took me, I think, a couple hundred shows before someone said something nice about me on this network. So very, very well done. So we'll do Dolphins after. So let's go around the table. So what are your thoughts, Eddie, on the prospects for the Ravens? Not just against us, but overall, do you see them as a team that now that Lamar's back and they're back to pretty much being healthy, or considering that they can make a run?
I know they have players not on the injured list, but they have players out that are important to the team. I mean, for the year, I believe. But I don't know. They'll have to prove it to me, and I'm not counting tonight as a prove-it game. To me, their defense has been horrible this year. They've given up leads. They've given up a lot of yards. Their defense has been as bad as Miami's, and that's pretty bad.
That's really bad.
It's really bad. I don't know. Until they beat somebody good, I'm not going to believe in them either. I mean, I ain't saying Miami's, like I said, Miami's not a prove-it game to me. If they beat Miami, good for them, but that doesn't do anything for me. So I don't know. I just don't trust in them. I like the Ravens, but I just don't trust them this year.
Sammy?
I don't know. I'm not familiar to how, other than what Mark said, to how Ravens fans feel about their franchise. I'm very knowledgeable about how the Dolphins feel about their franchise, and I know the frustrations. But if fans are basically, similar in all cases, I'm pretty sure a lot of Ravens fans are really frustrated because, they left a lot of wins on the table. They had a lot of opportunities to get over the Chiefs, to get over the Bills, to get to that Super Bowl to win it. You had the right head coach, one of the best front office in the whole NFL, and a quarterback that, other than Patrick Mahomes and Allen, who we can debate who's the better of the three. You can be debate all week. It just depends on your taste of quarterback. Lamar is just out of this world. So if you have all that talent, all those things working in your favor, you have to say disappointment, another disappointment year after year. When is gonna break? When you say this is the last chance? Because I know I'm a Braves fan, and when we had all this team in the 90s, the team of the 90s, and you keep losing, you say, when is it gonna end? Are we ever gonna get it? So you can have a lot of success. Dolphins have not had a lot of success in recent years, but I can only imagine the frustration as a Ravens fan when you have all that success and doesn't translate it even into a recent Super Bowl, because the Ravens were going to win that Super Bowl until the lights suddenly mysteriously went down at the Superdome. But, recently Lamar has yet to prove that he can win in the playoffs, to be consistent, to win a Super Bowl. So if I'm a Ravens fan, I can say, listen, it's been a great couple of years, but it's not enough consider all we have in our favor. So it must be frustrating. We're frustrated because we can get there, win a playoff game. Ravens fans are not be content by just getting there and just winning a playoff game and out. So it depends on the way you look at it. But as a Ravens fan, I'm pretty sure that a lot of Ravens fans are very frustrated. If you want to fire your head coach, please, I do believe you should fire him. He's horrible. Please fire him so we can pick him up in Miami. Like everyone said, I will pick him up at the airport and drive to Hard Rock Stadium.
Yeah, honestly, it's a really good point. Like the Ravens with their losses and not getting over the hump, and it's not just that they're losing in the playoffs; it's how they're losing. It's like we can't just get beat badly. It's always heartbreak. It's always a last minute. You're going back last year. You say Lamar can't do it. He was down 8 points. He drove the team down the field, scored a touchdown, and put the ball in his most reliable player's hands for a 2-point conversion, and he dropped it. Lamar did what he had to do. And the next week, Josh Allen was in the same situation against the Chiefs. 2 minutes, had to drive the field to tie the game, and he went 3 and out.
But I will tell you something that I said on that game. Last year, if your team was undefeated if Derrick Henry went for 75 more yards or more. In that playoff game, he had less than 75 yards. You didn't win. You basically, we were banging the table on this network. Every show when the season was over, go sign Derrick Henry. Give him whatever the heck he wants. And everyone's saying, no, he's going to be a Raven. You get him. He's doing everything you ask of him. And then in the most important game, you don't use him. Right?
It's frustrating. Some of the play calls were very frustrating. Todd Monken, I find he's got a bit of a tendency to abandon the run a little quickly. But it's just, no matter what it is, it's always something. Against the Chiefs 2 years ago, the Zay Flowers fumble. Tyler Huntley, if you remember that, trying to dive over against the Bengals, and he almost beat the Bengals in the playoffs. It's always something terrible and heartbreaking. It's never just, we got smoked. So that's partly why it's just so hard to do. But that's the thing. All these years, they've ran through the regular season. That's my point before. They've ran through the regular season, easy, get to the playoffs, they're the favorite, and then they blow it. This might be what they need. If you remember the 2012 Ravens Super Bowl, they were not great. I think they were around 500. They fired Cam Cameron, their offensive coordinator, and then they went on a run to make it to the playoffs. Ray Lewis had his famous, "This is my last ride," and they went off into the sunset. So I'm trying to be an optimist, but I think generally, there's a lot of frustration with the franchise and the communication and doing the same things over and over again. I know there's a lot of people on Ravens Twitter who want Harbaugh gone. I don't think they'll ever fire him. I think what would happen is he'll go up to the front office. But I hated losing Mike McDonald last year. I hated that he went to the Seahawks. They should have never let him walk out the door. But I also love Harbaugh. He's been a coach for so long, and part of what makes this Ravens organization so great is the continuity. The fact that we had Ozzie Newsome from the start, and he groomed Eric DaCosta for years and years and years. And then whenever Ozzie's ready to step away, Eric DaCosta comes in, and Ozzie stays on as an advisor. Harbaugh's been the coach for, 16, 17 years now, since 2008. It's just that continuity is what makes...
Since you fired Bill.
Yeah. It was 2008, so...
We cost Billick his job.
Yeah, you did. But I think it was coming anyways, and they just wanted a new start, new quarterback. The same year they brought in Flacco. So honestly, I really do think that this is what's going to take. This is gut check time, and what it takes to get to the playoffs is going to be what it takes this year. Is going to be hopefully what it takes to get them through.
So, flip side, what is your? We'll start with Eddie. We'll start with you. We're 2 and 6. It seems like the rejuvenation of I'm sure Sammy and you saw it as well, Eddie. They actually took this time to show Jonas Savanaia doing his dance in the locker room. I don't know if you had a chance to see that or not.
I did.
If you go to see that, I was waiting for episode 2 of Under the Sun to come out because I think they only produce them after they win a football game. Or before the season started. They stopped that episode. Pilot 1, and then they canceled the show, Sammy. Maybe it went to Cancun. Right?
I do believe that the Dolphins are scouting because, after saying, well, we're going to lose a lot of money here or there, why so much expense on a series that basically not going to watch? Because I didn't watch the first one. I wasn't interested. So, and I don't know a lot of his fans after, they didn't watch. So, hard times in Miami. That's what I'm gonna say about
No,
that.
but
Because
that's what I want to ask you and Eddie, and then I'm going to ask Mark from a very unbiased perspective. It feels like they actually think they accomplished something on Sunday, and this is like a win. Like it's actually something that's good for the franchise. I want my team to win every chance. I cheer for them every day. I wear their stuff. But they actually think this is gonna. They might actually turn the corner because they could win tonight. Do they seem to realize that you have to face Josh Allen in a week? And then you have to travel to Spain when we go away, and we never do well when we're away that far away. So, what is your perspective on the fact that are they drinking some sort of weird Kool-Aid, or should we be drinking it with them? Like,
I
is
think
there hope in there?
it's just relief from how bad they played the week before and how good they played this past week. Everybody needed it. I needed it. I mean, it was disheartening. I mean, the week before against Cleveland, that I've never felt like that before watching a game. Even when they were 1-15, I knew everything was going to change, and there was something to probably look forward to. It was Jake Long and not Matt Ryan, but whatever.
He was good too, though.
Jake Long was it was a great pick. I don't think he just went wrong with the pick in the second round.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all it is. I think everybody's excited because they got a win. They needed a win. Now you stack them, you win tonight, you got something to think about. And everybody that said what I took from the game was everybody that was saying, "Oh, this team quit on Mike McDaniel." They didn't quit. You wouldn't play like that, like they did last week if that team quit on their coach. They definitely did not quit. And I was proud of that.
And Sammy?
listen, they did accomplish something just because of the fact that when you get embarrassed the way they did in Cleveland, humiliated the way they did in Cleveland, out coached, outplayed, out hustled, Tua with one of the worst, if not the worst game of his career, and then they come back and play like that, it's an accomplishment because that's what you expect of a team who got their assets handed out to them. So it's an accomplishment. They did what they had to do. If they have come back having so-so game and they win, they gotta win, but they gotta convincing win. They play hard. They play for the coach. They play for themselves. So it was an accomplishment. The problem is now they have to do it again. They have to do it on Thursday night against the Ravens with Lamar Jackson coming back. If they find a way to be respectable today, and even better, they find a way to win, and they play hard for the coach, I'll buy it. I'll buy the fact that they play for the coach and they accomplish something. But we'll have to wait and see.
So just to jump in, and then I'll want Mark's perspective. I actually think that when the game was over in Cleveland, that Mike McDaniel spent the next 48 hours scanning Twitter, saying, "Let me see what the fans have to say on how we should win football games, and maybe run the ball, find a way to stop the run, and do some pass action, some play action. Maybe if you run the ball, you might win a football game. You might win the time of possession. Maybe that actually will work." The guy was hired. Remember, he was hired as the offensive coordinator and the so-called run game coordinator. So you thought he was going to come here and establish the run. No, let's not establish the run. Let's go pass. Let's do all these crazy motions and let's forget about the run. But Mark, from your perspective, obviously you faced the Ravens have faced the Dolphins many times. You've seen what Mike McDaniel has done. You see what the structure of the organization. Tua, you're into the draft. What do you think of Tua? What are your thoughts on what's been the most average, mediocre franchise for the last 25 years in the NFL and how we performed this year?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of summed it up a little bit. I hate to say it, but I kind of like Mike McDaniel a little bit. I don't know, maybe I'd like him better as an offensive coordinator again. Another one of those guys. It was part of this whole run of trying to hire the nerdy offensive coordinator guy who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. But he does run a good offense. And I think Tua, he elevated Tua. He created a system for Tua because Tua is limited as a quarterback. He doesn't have the arm strength, but he's extremely good with timing and he's extremely accurate when he's playing well. And I don't think you would have gotten that 11-5 record a couple of years ago, or that some of these wins without Mike McDaniel turning Tua into this kind of I guess kind of like an Alex Smith in a lot of ways. I find there's a lot of similarities there. A guy who doesn't have the big arm, who's able to put the ball in the right playmakers' hands. And when he's got playmakers who he could put the ball in their hands, like when Tyreek was doing well, Jalen Waddle, Achan, he's able to get the ball. He's a point guard. He's able to distribute the ball well and get it to the right people. And I think Mike McDaniel created a good offense for him. But it's possible the message isn't getting through anymore. It's possible as a leader and as a head coach of a football team, he's not the guy. And even if, I don't know if last week's game, like in terms of quitting on the coach, like that's just a bunch of men who are prideful, who got their asses kicked the week before, who want to prove that they're going to defend themselves and they're going to stand up and not just lay down here. So I think the game was good last week for them. I think it was good for the morale. I think it was good for the fan base. It would have been terrible to lose to Kirk Cousins when Drake London isn't there even. So getting a win against Falcons, who also they do have a good defense. They do. So that was a good win for them. But in terms of the outlook for the rest of the season, I think unless they beat the Ravens, unless they beat the Ravens this week, that's it. That's good night, because the division Bills are good. The Patriots are good. The Jets got to win. And the rest of the AFC is looking tough. So if you could beat the Ravens tonight, that's maybe a sign of things to come and maybe a sign that they're turning the corner. But might be looking towards the draft next year. We got a really good draft class next year for quarterbacks.
Just so I can stoke the fire a little bit, because you are a draft guy.
Yeah.
2020 draft.
Yes.
Dolphins have the 5th pick.
Yes.
When they took Tua over Herbert, your reaction was wrong QB?
Wrong QB. It was wrong QB. I said, and I have receipts. Early in the season, I said Burrow is going to be number 1, not Tua. Back when Tua was like the consensus number 1, I said it's going to be Burrow. I had a feeling. I thought Herbert was the guy. I thought Tua was just, again, he's fine. He's Alex Smith. He's a guy who's going to stopgap you for a few years until you find the guy. And Herbert just had the better legs, bigger arm, better production at Oregon. And he had a bit of a rough I don't know if it was his junior year or senior year, where his last year at Oregon, but his last year at Oregon wasn't as good as the year before. So that maybe hurt his draft stock a little bit. But Herbert, to me, was the guy there. And it's been clear. I mean, Herbert hasn't had the postseason success or the great winning records, but he has all the tools and all the skills you can mold. And I just think, like Tua, I think he's on borrowed time. He'll probably play for the Jets for a couple of years maybe and move on somewhere else, but he's going to be a journeyman and a backup for the rest of his career. But that's Garrett Nussmeier or Arch Manning or one of these guys are going to be the Dolphins quarterback next year.
Fernando Mendoza all the way. Let's go. Mendoza. I'm all good.
Mendoza?
Yeah, I'm very good with Mendoza. So let's dig in a little bit into this game and talk about the different aspects. So Eddie, and then we'll move to Sammy and then back to Mark. What do you think sparked the change? Like, what do you think? I understand we established the run, but what do you think? For example, we've been really all hard on Tua, especially if he didn't have this contract. I think we wouldn't be as hard. But on the offensive side of the ball, what do you feel was different about Tua? The man literally played with one eye. That gave him the comfort to have the game, because the guy, we were all ripping him leading into the game because the man literally had the audacity to once again open his mouth. And man, Sammy, you're always right. The man cannot lie. I can't see over the lineman.
Which, to be fair, during that 2020 season, he said it. During the 2024 season, he said it. During the 2022 season, he said it. But when you're losing, everyone says, "You guys said that." He said that before. And, that's the way we are, all of us, because I do that too.
Eddie, you're right.
Almost as bad as Sam Darnold seeing ghosts.
Yeah, probably. Eddie, so what do you think changed with Tua? Like, literally, it was like old Tua for one game. Like, what was different about it? Okay, the number one defense in terms of passing. Like, what did he do so differently that made him successful?
They protected him. They had a whole different backfield setup. They had both running backs in, which I've been begging for the whole year. They've used a lineman as an eligible receiver for once. It's the first time they did it all year, and it worked. I think that right there, he knew that one of his tight ends was not going to get run over by any defensive end in the league, because they run over our tight ends like they're not even there. And I think he felt way more comfortable in that game. And because he looked sharp. I mean, his balls are on time. He was getting it out on time. He was putting it on point. I just think he felt comfortable. It was a great game plan by McDaniel. I think it made him feel good.
And Sammy, what do you think was different about Tua?
Basically, the huge difference, it has to be running the ball. When he has that option that, he can, that play option, or, you can move those linebackers a little bit to the front, the bite and stuff. And, that makes a huge difference. Of course, having a sixth offensive lineman in the game is better pass protection too. So, Tua should feel more comfortable. So that gives him a lot more options. But, we have to wait and see if that's the game plan tonight, because, Mike McDaniel, the difference, not also Tua. Mike McDaniel was a huge difference for Tua, just because of the fact that, he tends to, get nervous, and, he goes away from the running game, but this time he kept running the ball no matter what. And I think that makes a huge difference for Tua, because if that's, they start passing and passing, that's where Tua makes mistakes. So it was good for them to keep running the ball. That gave it to a lower chance to get comfortable, even with the pinky eye and whatever, and the visor and stuff. I think he had a very good game. It had a lot to do with the running.
So to do a flip side for you, Mark, so this is your perspective of a stat. Lamar Jackson has played amazingly in Baltimore against the Dolphins. So his worst struggle was on like a Thursday Night Football game where Tua came in, played in the game, and he wasn't wearing his crosses like he was like with the Flores era. But that's a long time ago. But Lamar Jackson does have 142.7 passer rating against the Dolphins. So coming off his injury, someone wrote in the comments earlier that he could come off being rusty, but I don't think his legs will ever be rusty. So what are your expectations for Lamar Jackson tonight?
It's a homecoming for him. The Broward County boy. I think he's going to show out. I think it's going to be a big game. I think there's been a lot of stuff in the media talking about the reports of the offense. Like, there was some internal reports coming out about blaming Todd Monken for all the struggles, the offensive coordinator, and Lamar came to defend him. There was this whole thing about them taking the ping pong table and all the games and TVs and Xbox and stuff out of the locker room. And it came out a few days ago, and people were blaming Harbaugh, saying that's crazy. Harbaugh would do something like that. Like, that's not the point. And then it came out sooner that it was leadership of the players who did it. And then Marlon Humphrey on his podcast came out and said, no, it was Lamar. Lamar was the one who told the equipment manager to remove all the stuff. So I think he's hungry. The last 2 years, like this year and last year, Lamar just, it's a little different, something in his eyes. Like, he's very serious, very down to business. Like, he's still having fun and laughing out there, but he's got this look in his eye that he's like wants to kill him. And he always shows out against the Dolphins, shows up for the hometown, especially in Miami. I remember that first game of the season in 2019 when his first full year as a starter. Like, that was ridiculous. So the 2 touchdowns to Hollywood Brown. Honestly, like, I know this is a Dolphins podcast and I hate to be that guy, but I don't think it's going to be that close. I think
we're going to get to the scores after. That's all we're going to scores for now. But let me give you a perspective on this one player, because I want to talk about these 2 players on the offense. I'm not worried about the receivers. The receivers will do their jobs, whether it's Waddle or Flowers or Andrews or Likely or whoever. But the 2 stars of this football team outside of the quarterbacks are the running backs. So what are your thoughts on Devon Achane and the talent that he has? And then flip side, you can tweak in a little bit with Derrick Henry, and then I want to hear the same thing from Eddie and Sammy, like how Achane's been performing, the fact that he got a little bit of a rest last game, like they actually didn't only target him, but like, does the team go as far as these 2 players go? Yes, you have your quarterbacks, but are these the linchpins of the offenses as well? So, number one, give your feedback on Achane, and then obviously your perspective on Henry, who's had some key fumbles this year. So, take it from there, and then we'll move up to Eddie and then to Sammy.
Yeah, so I think Achane, he's so quick and he's got such talent, and the fact that he's got that dual threat ability, being able to catch a lot of balls out of the backfield, he can run the ball well. He should be the motor to the offense. He should be what gets the offense going, and everything should be kind of running through him. I mean, I get when Tyreek Hill and Waddle were there, it was easy to spread the ball out and be that kind of air raid West Coast offense that Mike McDaniel loves to run. But Achane is just that kind of joker player where you got to have a spy on him. You got to have someone who you game plan against a guy like Achane. And I think for the Dolphins to have any success, he's got to be the focal point of the offense. And going back to Tua a little bit, you look at any of these quarterbacks who are kind of limited, these game manager types, whenever they have success as a team, when they have a quarterback like that, it's because of a great run game. And without Achane, without them being able to feed him, without him being successful and having production, they're not going to be successful. So I do think it runs through him. And as far as Derrick Henry goes, those fumbles were frustrating. I mean, one thing I like to say is defensive players get paid too. Like you look at the one against the Lions, Aiden Hutchinson another superstar in the league, came out and made a great punch out. The first fumble, in the end, it was another punch out. I forget who it was. I think it was Taron Johnson on the Bills, who's another great player who's known for that, cutting from behind. I mean, the ball security issues, like, it felt fluky to me. It sucked. It felt fluky, but I do think his usage has been questionable at times. Derrick Henry is a player who gets better as the game goes on. The more you feed him, the better he is. You look at him where he'll kind of do nothing for a lot of the game. He's had games like this in Tennessee, and this isn't just because he's older now. He had games where he's slow. He has maybe 30, 40 yards at halftime with like 3.8 yards to carry, something like that. And then you keep feeding him and feeding him and feeding him, and he gets faster and faster. And in the fourth quarter, that's when he breaks out and wears you down when you have a lead. And he is the ultimate closer. He's Mariano Rivera, and it hasn't necessarily always been like that because, you're gonna win. He's gonna close out the game for you, But when they tend to jump away from the run too early when they're down, when he doesn't get the touches he needs, like, that's not his thing. He's not that guy who's gonna make someone miss in the backfield. He's gonna have a bunch of 1 yard gains, top in the backfield, or you hit him behind the line, you could get him down. But once he gets ahead of steam going, and once he wears down the defense as the game goes on, is when he's at his true best. So I think you got to feed him. You just got to feed Derrick Henry. He's the king for a reason. He just passed Walter Payton, I think, for 5th all time in rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who scores and who runs the ball hard and who's going to keep your offense on the field, especially when you have a defense who's been leaky the last little while with like the Ravens. You want to stay on the field as long as you can. And Derrick Henry's that guy.
Yeah. So no, just that. Yeah, Bobby basically it's 1 hour behind Adrian. So Bobby is doing us a solid and he trusted me. He's giving me a chance to run the show again. I actually think he likes when I host the pregame show because it lets other people talk, because I shut up for most of the show and let other people talk. So and Sammy can't get his popcorn ready, so it's all good. But no, so Eddie, what are your thoughts on the Derrick Henry, how he continues to do what he's doing, and like just how much Achane just this season, like he's literally the engine of this offense. Like, that if he doesn't get involved, but I feel like what worked for him last week was the fact that he didn't have all of it. He wasn't the only target. Like the fact that you need to give him a little bit of a breather, which I think helps Henry when Lamar's there too. So far, what are your perspectives on the seasons of Achane and Henry, who are going to be key tonight?
I'll start with Achane. He needed that break he got, and it was good to see with Gordon getting more carries and Wright a little bit in there, and then using them both at the same time was awesome. I mean, he's as good as any back in the league coming out of the backfield on a middle screen, even as a wide receiver. I'll put him against any back. He is what makes Miami's offense good when it's good. I think he was in the top 3 of the most plays for an offense, a player for an offense. I think they put that stat up there last week. He's top 3 in that. As for Henry, they're not using him enough. I know, because I have him on my fantasy team, and it's killing me. Especially since Cam Scattaboo got hurt. Now I'm dead. But now they're not, I don't know. They go away from Henry way too early. He's somebody I always liked, always followed. I have a Derrick Henry jersey from when he was on Tennessee. I almost burned it when he beat us on Tennessee, that when we were going to win the division and we didn't, with 2 minutes left. I think they should stick with the run a little bit more. They get a little pass happy too in Baltimore. Excuse me, having trouble here. I would pound the heck out of a defense, then let it go away for a little bit, and then in the fourth, bring them back in and hammer them when everybody's tired.
So, Sammy, what are your thoughts? Derrick Henry, Devon Acham.
First of all, on Derrick Henry, I've always been not a fan because he's not a Dolphin, but I'm a supporter, believer in Derrick Henry. He's a beast. I would love for him to be in the Dolphins a couple of years back when there were rumors that he would wanted maybe to come to Miami. We never know if those rumors are true, but I know for sure I would love for him to be in the Dolphins because that guy is a beast. He's an awesome player. Time catches to us also. The fumbles are just part of of years so told. I don't think it's a coincidence. But he's still a great player. He's just a beast. And when you have Lamar running one way and Derrick Henry running the other, you have no excuse. You should have for sure the best running game in the history of the NFL. But actually, with those two in the backfield, so there's always a threat. He's the guy's a beast. And of course, Achane. I think Achane. We're gonna be looking a couple of years from now and saying, "Man, we had a superstar in Devon Achane and wasted its best years on one of the worst offense teams ever in 2025 because that guy is just so special." If he was on the Eagles, on the Chiefs, on the Bills, even on the Ravens, that guy will have the media
on the
Rams eating out of his palm. But since he's a Dolphin now, Achane's great.
Can you imagine if he was in Detroit? Can you imagine if he was with the Lions? Like,
yeah,
my God.
I mean, I'm not going to say he's Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm not going to say he's Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah, but he's like
a smaller version of Jahmyr Gibbs.
And Buffalo, to be fair, has James Cook, who's probably the same kind of back. So
who I wanted that draft because I don't know if you remember.
I know.
But, no,
we wanted his brother too, but that never happened either.
Yeah, for sure. Don't remind me. Hi, Steve. But it is what it is. Devon Achane, we're gonna look a couple of years from now and say, "Wow, we had a superstar and we waited the best years of his career." Yeah. So it's kind of sad when you think about the possibilities, but in the NFL, today there was a debate of who was the hardest rebuild in the NFL. Some say the Dolphins. Rebuilds. Teams can rebuild a whole franchise in a couple of years. So Devon Achane is gonna be a Dolphin for a while. So we'll have to wait and see. But both great. Both great, both different, but usually looking for matchups at the quarterback. A matchup at running back tonight will be huge with Derrick Henry and Achane running, just to see who got done each other. So I would love that for sure.
So before we move on, we're going to look at the NFL games because none of us are really going to have a show before Sunday. So I'd like to go through the NFL game. Then we'll go through the keys to the game and we'll go through our predictions for the Dolphins game. But talk about this awful run defense that sort of adjusted itself last week for both teams. What do you think has changed there? Do you think that they both have figured out a formula on how to stop the run? Or do you think that the formula for tonight's game is to establish the run? Like the fact that this should be a running attack on both sides and that play action is going to be crucial to these games because both teams can run on. I think the defenses on this team, just because they had one decent game against the Bears and against the Falcons, doesn't solve the fact that both teams have very leaky defenses. Mark?
So I think I'm going to go back to last season to give myself an answer. If you remember, the Ravens defense was like the worst in the league going up until week 11. And then in week 11, they made some changes in safety. Kyle Hamilton before that had been playing kind of that nickel piece, kind of all around the field, lining up at all kinds of positions. They had Marcus Williams at safety. I think they tried out, what was his name? I forget who they had. Some guy who used to be good, who wasn't anymore. And at week 11, they put Kyle Hamilton back at deep safety, and they became one of the best defenses in the league down the stretch. This year has been kind of the opposite, where the safety has been kind of whatever. Kyle Hamilton has been playing more deep safety, but now they traded for Alahai Gilman from the Chargers, and he is just solid back there. He's very solid back there, so that allows Kyle Hamilton to play closer to the line, which he's could be one of the best pass rushers in the league. I feel like he could be similar to like a Micah Parsons type if he put on a bit of weight. But now with him wrecking the game, coming in, roughing the passer, making tackles in the backfield, I think he could be a key piece in improving this run game. I mean, it's kind of been downhill ever since Madubuike went down because he's been so good for us, and I sadly don't think he'll ever play football again. I mean, I don't know anything, but this is kind of the vibes that we're getting. But I think having Kyle Hamilton being able to be more of that free rusher and use his instincts to make plays on the ball, like see ball, get ball, I think that's really going to help the defense. And I think this is going to be a chance for us to turn the corner and fix that defense and adjust.
So Eddie, I was actually reading today when they were talking about who's playing tonight, and I literally spit up my water because in the same sentence someone posted, Lamar Jackson's back, but now Minka's going to be able to run free because we're getting a stout defensive player back in James Marshall Jr. Is James Marshall Jr. going to solve the problems of the defense tonight, support the D-line, and give Minka the chance? Like, do you think this defense could do what they did last week with the addition of James Marshall and more freedom for Minka Fitzpatrick?
No, I don't. I do not like James Marshall. I do not like University of Florida corners. It's just me. It's how I feel. I don't know. I'd rather have Minka playing in the slot.
Yeah.
I really do, especially with the tight ends, the way Lamar likes to throw to him. We'll see how Marshall does. I mean, it's good to have Minka back there where he's supposed to be playing. But no, I do not feel comfortable with Marshall being back at all.
Sammy?
What can I tell you? This defense, let me start with the run defense. You know, is easier to expect a team to get better if you had high hopes on players that have not played well, compared to a team that is injured and you know they're out, and now you have to struggle to find someone to be there. So the Dolphins had high hopes for Grant. You know, Zach Sealer's still there. The front seven was supposed to be good, so they could turn things around. I'm not saying they will, but you know, it's been about performance. When it comes to about injury, like the secondary, where you know cornerbacks keep dropping like flies every couple of weeks, another Dolphins defensive back is down. That you know, that hurts the passing defense. So the running defense could be on the ups. I'm not saying they are, but they could be on the ups, while the passing defense could be on the downward spiral because of the constant injury. So we have to wait and see. You know, we tonight we're gonna know a lot about the run defense of the Dolphins. That when you had to stop Lamar and we had to stop Derrick Henry, but that remains to be seen.
Okay. So before we get into the keys to the game, guys, we're already an hour plus in. Appreciate everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All the Ravens fans that are watching, supporters of Mark, you guys are welcome to be on this network whenever you guys want. It's been phenomenal so far. So let's just go through the games. And by the way, Sammy, it gives you and me a chance. If Mark and Eddie give particular picks, that we can always go adjust our picks for Sunday. So it's a good cheat code for you and me for our. By the way, I'm convinced that Manny is cheating. There's no way he's always in first. It doesn't make sense. He's doing something.
I hate doing this because I'm gonna tip my hand, but it's not like it's not like I'm playing because I cannot play on the PCB Beacon League because I hosted it. Well, let's try. Let's see whether we do.
So on Sunday we got Caleb Williams, who people are not such a big fan of right now, going into Cincinnati. Joe Flacco, former Raven, former everything, to face the 3-5 Cincinnati Bengals. I know where Mark is probably going to go because I don't think he can ever cheer for the Bengals. But Sammy, who do you got in that game? Bears, Bengals.
Well, a couple of disappointing teams for last Sunday. So basically both teams were disappointing, but it's hard. But I'm as of right now, I'm gonna go with the Bengals just because of the fact that the Bears should be better, but they just are not. So I'm gonna go with the Bengals.
Eddie?
I'll go with the Bears. I really couldn't tell you either way. I'll just go with the Bears.
Mark?
The Bears.
Yeah,
I just think, and I would pick the Bengals if I thought they're going to win. When I make my picks, I'm unbiased, but I just think it's going to be a big game for Swift. I think.
Yeah, no, I think they have to malign. They still have a winning record. I think the Bengals losing the way they did. I think Zach Taylor's going to be on the hot seat again, whether he has Joe Burrow or not. So I think the Bears will go in and make up for what happened last week. I think this is a pretty easy game to figure out. I think this is not the same team. Minnesota Vikings 3-4 going into, I think, the team that has the best chance to win the Super Bowl, the 5-2 Lions. Mark, who you got?
Lions. It's going to smoke them, honestly.
Eddie?
I don't even know who's playing quarterback for Minnesota, so obviously the Lions.
Flores probably. Maybe we'll put Van Gink back there. What do you got, Sammy?
Well, I had the Vikings not winning, so I had the Lions.
That works. I got the Lions too. Next game, I think this is a pretty easy one too. The Carolina Panthers 4-4, the team that beat up on the Dolphins. I can't believe they did that. Going into Lambeau Field against the Packers. Sammy, who you got
I don't know. The Packers
at home?
are kind of a weird team because they should be better. They should play better, and they get stuck in some games that they should be ahead by more, but they let the opponent like hang around, and they can sometimes play that like I said about Atlanta last week. They go down to the level of the opponent. Having said that, I had the Packers winning, but I would not be surprised if it's a closer game than we would expect.
Eddie?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers, but they really do, like Sammy said, play down to the level of their competition. They could, I don't know, is Bryce Young playing or is it Sam Dalton?
I think it's Bryce. I think
Still
Bryce is
Bryce.
coming back.
Because if that's definitely a win if it's Dalton again, but we'll go with Green Bay.
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, echoing you guys, I think the Green Bay Packers are a little fugazi as like a true top end team in the NFL. They're a little fugazi, but it's going to be they're going to win this game, and I think, again close.
They're a poor man's 5-1. Like they're 5-1 because of the team that they're playing, not because they've actually. You know what? They're actually sort of playing like the Dolphins when the Dolphins had decent season in 22 and 23. They're beating like they don't seem like a good team winning. Like they just seem like a team that's winning. There's another easy game I think it's going to be. The 1-7 Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward with a team that I actually envy because they fired their coach. I always have to throw that in there, Sammy. They're bringing in Rondé Gadsden, not Justin Herbert. Rondé Gadsden is junior, has been phenomenal for them. Bringing in Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh on the Chargers. Who do you got, Mark?
Chargers, easy. Let's move on. Chargers winning this one.
This feels like this could be a typical Chargers of your game where they play down to their opponent and blow the one they win, but now they got this one.
Eddie?
Chargers, even though they have Justin Herbert, the most overrated quarterback in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Then we got the Atlanta Falcons, the team that seems to beat the good teams and can't beat the bad teams, going in to face what people now are calling the leading MVP candidate in the NFL. And the New England Patriots and Drake May. Who do you got, Eddie? Falcons or Patriots?
You talk about a fugazi. It's the New England Patriots. You tell me when they beat somebody.
Yeah.
They are a fugazi. I'm telling you right now. But I already forgot. Who are they playing?
The Falcons.
I'm so mad about them.
The Falcons?
I'm picking the Falcons. The hell with the Patriots.
Sammy?
Well, I'm always curious how the media is always looking at the record of the opponent, which is the Dolphins. But the Patriots have basically not beaten anyone, had the easy schedule to remain. If I was a Bills fan, I would be scared just with the division title, just because of the fact that Patriots schedule is the easiest schedule I've seen in a while. But, I have the Falcons winning just because of that, and just because the way they lost on Sunday is basically the same thing that happened to the Dolphins. They had to find a way to come back after a bad loss, to play for their coach. So I expect the Falcons to win that game.
Mark?
Yeah, I think Penix is coming back. Hopefully Drake London is back for my fantasy team. I think the Falcons are going to take it. I think the Patriots are a young team. They're going to be good in a couple of years. I think Drake May's the guy, but the Falcons are going to take this one.
Well, I had a double-edged sword because what happened to me on Sunday is McDaniel got a win. That ruined my day. I want the Dolphins to win. I don't want McDaniel to win. Can that happen in a game, actually? And Bijan Robinson had his worst game, and he's my number one guy in fantasy. So, I got screwed both ways. Damn you, Dolphins. No, I want the Falcons are going to have they beat the good team, so the Falcons are going to come back. Next, a team that you have the New York Giants, Cam Scatterbo. What happened to him? Oh, my God. They're not the same. But they're going against a team that I can never forgive. I will never forgive their head coach because in 2021, he blocked this guy from coming to the Dolphins. But in 2023, he goes, you can have him. And the San Francisco 49ers. Mark, who do you got? 49ers and Giants.
It's got to be the Niners. I think Purdy might be coming back this week. We're not even sure. But even if it's Mac Jones, I think they just have the better team. And the Giants, you got to feel for them. Jackson Dart, a young guy. Him and Cam were such a good duo. No Neighbors, no Cam. they don't have a shot.
Eddie?
San Francisco. If it would be a different game if they had Neighbors and Scadaboo. That's a pretty good young team, the Giants, but without them guys, it's definitely San Fran.
Sammy?
But someone had a reason to hate the 49ers, will be Mark. So I don't know what all the fuss is about, because that Super Bowl was still stinging. But
We won
the
that one.
They
49ers,
won
huh?
it.
They won
They won
that.
that.
They
Super
beat
Bowl.
Kaepernick.
Yeah, they beat. So, but I still believe that 49ers are a weird team, because I expected them to win last Sunday and they didn't. So it's just weird. But the Giants had overachieved, but you cannot keep up with the injuries. So there, I don't see a way they can overcome all those injuries. So I had the 49ers winning pretty handily, actually.
49ers. Then we have the most surprising team in the NFL that got their season started by beating the crap out of our team, surprisingly. The Colts, who have basically two head coaches. They have Jim Irsay's daughter sitting on the sideline with the headset, which is, I think,
I want to talk about that.
I
want to talk about that.
You can. Taking on Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, Sammy, what do you got there?
I'm just bitter. I know I'm bitter, old man, but could you imagine if a couple of years from now, Stephen Ross' daughter is in the sideline, looking all gushy and stuff at Miami with a headset, listening to My Dynamo, whoever, the media will puke all over Miami. Let's be honest about this. If it was Miami, there's no way they would say, "Oh, it's so good, she's so good." Stop it. Stop it. You just know that the media will puke all over us. This is my upset of the week. I had the Steelers beating the Colts, just because of the fact that it's a day game. It's not in the dome, so I'm gonna pick the Steelers for this game.
Eddie?
I have the Steelers on this one. I think it's they're a little upset from last week. I think they'll win this game.
Mark?
I would have never thought going into the season the Colts would be having the season they have, but honestly, this Steelers defense just everyone talks about. They still have a good defense. No, they don't. They've been terrible. Jonathan Taylor's going to run for 3 touchdowns, and the Colts are going to win.
I still got the Colts.
Dolphins won that Ramsey trade for sure. I said it as soon as it happened. I still believe that.
Ramsey is not good.
Yeah.
Nope.
Broncos 6-2. They just keep on doing what they're doing. Going against continues to have now the 3rd-year slump. He's in the junior slump, and C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. Who do you got, Mark?
I think I got the Texans in this one. I think Stroud is kind of starting to pick it up. He's starting to play better. I think it's the Texans this week. Their defense is Will Campbell, not Will Campbell. Their pass rusher, I'm blanking on it. Will Anderson, yes.
Wow.
He's incredible. Texans.
Eddie?
I have the Texans also. I think they're going to win this week.
Sammy?
Last week I said that if the Steelers lost to the Packers, they will be on fraud alert. They lost. This is my fraud alert game of the week. I had the Texans beating the Broncos.
I still got the Broncos. I don't know why. I just trust that defense a little bit against C.J. Stroud. Then we got a team that I believe.
Surtain is out though.
I still don't care. I trust that defense. I don't know. They don't just need one player. The defense is one player. They're in trouble.
It wasn't numbered for sure, but
yeah. We got a team. Duval is struggling a little bit, so they've lost a couple games in a row. Jaguars going in against probably the one and done Pete Carroll and the Tom Brady Raiders. Who do you got, Mark?
I got the Jags. I think Liam Cohen and they're finally gelling. I think I've always been a big Trevor Lawrence fan. I was a fan coming out of college. I think they got it. I think the Jags got it.
Sammy?
Duval wins the game.
Eddie?
I'm picking the Raiders because I will never pick Jacksonville ever, no matter what. I hate that team. I hate they're in the state of Florida, and Trevor Lawrence sucks.
So I'm actually going to flip my pick just because Eddie said that. So I will switch my pick to the Raiders now. By the way, I hope you know most of my picks after this show. This is why I did this. Saints and Tyler Shaw is starting, not Spencer Rattler.
What's the name? Shaw? That's the name? I couldn't figure
Shaw.
out.
Shaw.
Is it go Shuck?
I think it's Shaw.
Yeah,
you just made my point. Nobody knows.
It's Tyler Shaw, and Kellen Moore and Alvin Kamara going in to SoFi Stadium to face another disciple that seems to be doing better than Mike McDaniel and Sean McVay in the LA Rams. Who you got, Mark?
Rams by 1,000,000.
Eddie?
Rams. The obvious. The Saints are tanking.
Sammy?
I said a couple of weeks ago, I think it was from week 1, that the Saints will be the worst team in the NFL. I'm going to stick to that and say the Rams win the game.
So next game is the Puke Fest at 4:25. I want to vomit at this game because I think whoever's doing this game, it's on CBS. So I'm going to vomit when I see people talking about this. The Kansas City Chiefs going into Buffalo to face Josh Allen. Eddie, what do you got in this ridiculous, annoying game?
I'll go with the Chiefs. It's whoever. I'm sure it's going to be Tony Romo, obviously doing the game. It's going to be It's going to be love fest back and forth. He's not going to know what to do with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to go with the Chiefs because I think they're playing better.
Yeah. Sammy?
The first thing that came to my mind was that South Park meme with the guys, all over himself. That's gonna be Tony Romo during this game because oh dear Lord, how's he gonna be able to watch that game with those guys, all over the place?
I forgot all about that.
I know
they're gonna have to stop the game a couple of times for Tony Romo. I don't. How's he gonna contain himself?
I hope Jim Nantz is wearing a raincoat because it might be he might be spitting both ways. You never know.
Lord, that's gonna be horrible.
Sammy, who do you got?
Boy,
who do you got though?
Oh man, I'm gonna mute that game for sure. So,
for sure.
But I have the Chiefs winning in the final.
Mark.
Yeah, this is my nightmare game. I hate it.
You hate both teams.
I hate both teams. I hate everything they stand for. More of the Bills, just because I have so many friends who are Bills fans. As you can see one in the comments there.
Yeah, one person actually had this question. I might as well ask you while it's happening in this game. Question for you, Mark. Can you explain why Josh Allen is obviously superior to Lamar Jackson? Certainly won the MVP last year.
Do you want to do this quick? This is my best friend Adam. I was best man at his wedding, and he is a Bills fan for his life. And Josh Allen, I like to say it's a DEI MVP. He was given an MVP because, he's never won one. He feels bad. There was no metric where he was better than Lamar in anything. They played head-to-head. They smoked him. He was the first quarterback. Like Josh Allen had a great year. He had an amazing year for any other year. Lamar was historic. No one has ever passed for 4,000 yards and rushed for 800. He rushed for 900. He has the best passer rating of all time right now. And the touchdown interception ratio, the head-to-head, all of it. There was no and this never happened since like the 70s where the AP votes a guy first team All-Pro as a quarterback and then gives a different quarterback MVP. There was we feel bad, Josh. Here's your MVP. You never got one. Poor baby.
Absolutely
Chiefs.
Agree.
Beautiful. You're welcome on the show again just because of this. So who do you got, Chiefs or Bills?
Chiefs.
Chiefs or Bills?
Chiefs. Bills, like their defense isn't good. Josh Allen is becoming, honestly, a bit of a game manager. It is what it is.
Fugazi alert, Mark. Fugazi alert.
They're still good, but they're not that good. I'm not going to say Fugazi, but
no, I will never pick Buffalo. It's funny because I always tell people, and I was trolling for years, that I like similar to Adam. In theory, you live here. The closest choice is either New York or Buffalo, and you have to go to New York. No, never going to happen. Never going to happen. I'll never cheer for the Yankees. I'll never cheer for the Mets. I'll never cheer for the Jets. I'll never cheer for the Giants. I'll never cheer for Buffalo. Not going to happen anytime soon. Mike McDonald, a guy you like a lot, and the 13th man, my cousins, amazing season ticket holders of the Seattle Seahawks, going against a team. I think this is probably, you talk about the Ravens being disappointing, you talk about the Dolphins being disappointed. There's no team more disappointing in the NFC than the Washington Commanders. So who do we got in that game, Mark? The Commanders hosting the Seahawks.
Do we know if Daniels is back?
Yeah, I believe he's back.
Doesn't matter. Seahawks.
Eddie?
Seahawks.
Yeah, JSN's going off.
And they blocked it. Yeah, they're amazing. Sammy?
I have the Seahawks, but if Daniels plays, anything can happen.
But I believe, it's definitely going to be. I believe it's the Seahawks. Seahawks are a very good team, very well coached. Then the Monday night game, Cardinals at Cowboys. Eddie, who you got?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's in. The Cardinals are in every game, but I'll give it to Dallas because they're at home.
I'll take the Cowboys. It makes me sick, but I'll take the Cowboys. So now we're going to move on to our game. Just a FYI.
Just wait, I have not made my prediction. Yeah, we're so
Yeah,
in a
neither.
hurry. We have a couple of minutes.
Yeah, but
And I think Mark haven't either.
We're not there yet. We have 8 minutes to do this. The game starts at 8:15. What's your rush?
Mark, just go ahead, Mark. Just keep it going.
Mark, let's go. Mark, keys to a Ravens victory.
All right, I'd say the keys to the victory tonight are
three keys.
Run the damn ball, whether it's Lamar, whether it's Derrick Henry, Mixon, Keaton, Mitchell, got to get some pop runs. Got to run the damn ball. Then it's stop the run. You got to stop Devon A-Chain. You just got to. And protect Lamar. Keep him upright. Like, don't let him take too many hits. Don't make him have to run for his life. Like, ideally, if he could just play the whole game from the pocket and not run at all, that would be perfect. So keep Lamar upright. Run the ball. Stop the run.
Okay. Eddie, keys to a Dolphins victory.
It's pretty much the same for both teams. Run it and stop the run. But mine is make sure you get 3rd and short. Don't fall behind the chains. You finally have a back in Miami that can get a first down even for 2 yards. He's always going forward, Ollie Gordon. So stop the run the ball, and make sure you're in 3rd and short the whole game.
Sammy?
You know, like Dan Patrick say, you cannot stop it. You can only hold to contain him. That's Lamar Jackson tonight. You have to find a way not to get that 70-yard run for a touchdown and, that bomb of 50 yards. If they can do that, they can find a way to, to contain him a little bit and can find a way to stop, to run the ball a little bit and doesn't have turnovers, they might have a chance. That's the keys.
So for me, there's 3 things that can happen in this game. One of the best comments of the night came, I didn't bring it up yet, but it was from Matthew. 3 things can happen. This could happen, because this does seem to happen on Thursday Night Football.
Not every time, but
no, but it happens often. It happened twice on his own fault. Second, we could have what happened in 2021 with Brian Flores bringing him in. That could happen. Or we could have what I would love to see happen. The best joy would be the repeat of the 2013 Halloween game against the Bengals, where my boy Cameron Wake, a CFL player, sacked the quarterback to win the game on a safety. That was gorgeous.
Walk off.
That was a walk safety. That was phenomenal.
Wake was so good. I love
Cam.
Oh
my God, he was that good. If he would have played his entire career in the NFL, he'd be a Hall of Fame. Like, so good.
Yeah.
My keys to the game are Tua closing his eyes when he throws, because he's wearing the visor tonight at night. But probably he has Apple Vision or Meta Vision, like everyone was saying on Twitter. You never know. 6 linemen, like you said, like they have to run the ball. Ollie Gordon has to get as many runs as he did last time. And I'm less concerned about Lamar. They better contain Derrick Henry. I'm less concerned. Let Lamar have his game. That's fine. But I don't want to see one 70-yard run by Lamar, by Derrick Henry. Like, we need to control Derrick Henry, because if Derrick Henry goes off, then and you have a 2-headed monster on the run, you're dead. The Dolphins are dead very, very quickly. So I'll save the prediction for Mark for last, because you're our intro, first time on the show. But Sammy, what's your prediction for tonight's game?
The Dolphins lose for sure. I don't have the Dolphins winning tonight. They give no chance. Might find a way to make it close, but I don't have the Dolphins winning. I have the Ravens winning.
What's the final score?
31 Ravens, Dolphins 20.
Eddie?
38-31 Ravens.
You're going to be shocked? Just because I want a reason to come on post game and laugh at myself. I don't know why. I feel like Mike McDaniel is going to torture me. And I have this weird feeling that the Dolphins are going to win 28-27. I just don't know why. But they're going to win 28-27. And I'm going to come on the show saying, Mike McDaniel and Chris Spear are coming back next season, and I just can't get away from them. Like, I'll be happy that they win, but sad that they won at the same time. Can that happen? Mark, your prediction?
I think this is going to be a statement game for the Ravens. I know this isn't kind of a prove it game for them where they need to beat this team, but I just think they're going to remind everyone what their offense can do. I think Lamar is going to go off with his arm. I think he's going to have another Jackson 5. 42-16 Ravens.
By the way, none of these score. It's going to be either going to be a Dolphins win, or it's going to be a shellacking. Like, it's one or the other. But by the way, I just hope all of you. I don't know if you agree. I have a feeling whoever gets the lead first will establish it. Like, if the Dolphins fall behind to Lamar early.
Oh, if the Dolphins fall behind, it's not going to be that couple of years ago game in 2022 or whatever. If you fall behind, you're going to make a comeback. If the Dolphins fall behind by more than 10 games, here comes the turnover in budget for Tua because they're going to start pressing. You know what's going to happen. I think there comes the injuries too, because that's what happens. He tries to press too much, and the injuries come. So hopefully they can find a way to keep it close.
I'm hoping to see how much fans show up to tonight's game, because the tickets were still cheap, even though they're 2-6. Really? You can get into the stadium for not a lot of money. It's pretty
even for a primetime game.
Yeah. The Jets game, you can get in there for when Sammy went to the game against the Chargers. I could have flown down and got into the stadium for $15 Canadian for the Herbert Tua game. $15 Canadian, not even no joke on StubHub. That's why. By the way, Sammy and Eddie, I don't know if you saw the Berman group, the guy who keeps on flying over the plane, still put a fire Greer sign over the stadium. Like, it's still coming around. Like, it's still we're the only team that.
My Danny was safe for the week, but Chris Greer, you're still fired.
Chris Greer's not. He's the number one. He's public enemy number one, Chris Greer. So, guys, I want to appreciate everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate everyone who's come in the comments. Mark, this will not be your first time. We're going to get you on the show. You want to come on these shows? That you know a lot about football. You've been amazing. You lived up to all the hype that was preached to me by Leanne. So I really appreciate it. I know a lot of people are watching here tonight. Heidi Wise. Heidi Wise is your?
That's my mom. Shout out my mom. She's my biggest fan in the comments.
Is she actually a big Ravens fan? My mom watches too. It's pretty
she supports whoever I support. My dad is actually a recovering Cowboys fan, so now he's a Ravens fan. So I've converted him, and my mom is she's the biggest Mark fan.
Yeah. So also I want to appreciate everyone. The guy who lives in Buffalo, Ravens for life, 716. You've been phenomenal. Your comments living in Buffalo has been phenomenal. Adrian, we're going to see you on the post-game show, guys. Just to let you know, the regulars who are here tonight, DSG, Duke, everyone. We appreciate everyone watching. The post-game show, right after the show, you'll see myself, Alex Chiska, Rainy Day Pod. Adrian will be here on the post-game show with myself, going over the highlights of this game, win, lose, or draw. Mark, any final words?
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a blast. I love it. Go Ravens. I hate to say it. But this has been a really fun time. You guys are a blast, and I'd love to come back on sometime.
Eddie, any final words?
No, I just hope it's a good game. Give us something to watch. Hope I'm not falling asleep at 10 o'clock.
Sammy, any final words? Will you be on with George after the game, or you'll be asleep?
Yeah, I'll be George because since I wasn't invited here, I got to have it somewhere.
No, we're competing shows. We didn't want to steal you.
I'm gonna be with George, and after the office loses tonight, see you in Cancun.
You'll be funny. Wouldn't it be funny if post-game show starts and I end up with George and you end up with Bobby? We should do this with your. Maybe you and I should have both links, and we should just jump in and out of both shows, depending on what's going on.
My plan is to have two computers and be in both shows.
Yeah, we should be in both. I'm going to do both.
Like reroute the Nitro and Raw. I'll be in both shows. I think.
Yeah, guys, if you guys we want you on watching this podcast or show, but don't forget to check out George and the Fin Faithful podcast. They're doing an amazing job on that network. We also do a lot of shows with them. Sam, before we go, any plan? What are your next plans? Because you're probably not going to be on this weekend. But what's the plans for Fins TV coming up? What's going on?
Well, on Fins TV next week, you'll have to wait and see what happens. It's a long time since today, and and next Tuesday. But we'll have to find a way. If the Dolphins win, we'll have a lot of conversation about what the Dolphins going next. And trade deadlines on Tuesday, so we'll have to wait and see if the Dolphins made a move or not.
Maybe I'll get invited to Fins TV next Tuesday. You never know.
Before the season is over, you'll be there. Still a long season to go.
Season, buddy. Guys, let's hope we're not going to Cancun. One of the teams is going to Cancun tonight. We don't know if it's
this is the Cancun Bowl. The Cancun Bowl. The one that loses go to Cancun.
Yeah. Big Poppy and his cigar and his tequila. One of us will be going. Guys, I know.
Cheers.
Cheers. I don't know. I doubt Mark will say it, but guys, always remember, like, subscribe, and as always, fins up.